They say fight fire with fire, but this time you can say I fought madness with madness. I never wanted to be part of their little suburban dictatorship, and yet here they were, knocking at my gates like missionaries with clipboards. After numerous attempts to get me to join their little HOA boy band, promising fake perks like community upgrades and special discounts, I still didn't budge. I am a farmer, not a suburban puppet, and my land, my cabin, and my crops shouldn't be under the jurisdiction of any HOA. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. One day I saw Karen herself, the HOA president, standing at my farm gates like some self-appointed sheriff of the county. With her oversized sunglasses and clipboard clutched like a holy relic, she demanded I let her into my cabin, claiming she needed to inspect how many people were living inside. I was stunned. Since when did the HOA become government census workers? I laughed and told her I didn't know the HOA ran immigration services now. The sarcasm flew right over her highlighted head. But I didn't let her in. My cabin is my sanctuary, not some stage for her nosy inspections. She huffed like a wolf denied entry into a henhouse, tapping her pen against the clipboard as if that gave her authority. I told her flat out, my farm isn't part of their HOA, and they don't have the right to snoop around in my business. Her lips curled into that thin Karen smile, the one that said, "Fine, but I'll be back." At that moment, I thought it was just another power trip, another attempt to bully someone into submission. What I didn't realize was that by denying her entry, I had poured gasoline on her curiosity. From that day, Karen seemed obsessed. She wasn't going to rest until she figured out what I was hiding inside my ordinary cabin. I had nothing more exciting than sacks of feed, some tools, and my coffee pot, but to her, it was like I was guarding Area 51. Before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments where you're watching this story from. A few days later, there she was again, standing at my gate like a tax collector. This time, Karen had a new story. She announced with full authority that she'd been tipped off that I was stealing electricity from the HOA grid, and she needed to come in to inspect. I almost choked on my laughter. Stealing electricity out here on my farm? I've got solar panels, a generator, and more extension cords than a construction site, but not one of them runs through the HOA's precious wires. I knew it was pure nonsense. She just wanted in. I told her point blank that she wasn't stepping foot on my land. My refusal made her face tighten, and she muttered something about not cooperating before stomping away like a toddler denied candy. I thought that would be the end of it, but Karen was the type who couldn't let go of a bone once she'd bitten into it. Sure enough, just a couple of days later, I caught her lurking again. This time, her excuse was even weaker. She claimed her pet had run into my farm and she needed to search for it. At first, she said it was a dog. Later in the same conversation, she changed it to a cat. I couldn't help myself. I laughed right in her face. "Karen," I said, "I don't know what you think I'm hiding in my ordinary farm, but unless you're working for the feds or the sheriff's department, you're never stepping foot in my cabin. Why don't you use your time for something better, like knitting or bothering someone who actually cares?" She gave me the kind of glare you'd expect from someone plotting a courtroom drama in her head. I could almost hear the wheels turning as she stood there, lips pressed together, cheeks twitching like she wanted to explode. But instead of shouting back, she just spun on her heels and left without a word. That silence was louder than any tantrum she could have thrown. The next morning, I hammered up bright red, no trespassing signs along my fence. Big letters, bold enough that even someone blind in one eye could see them. I thought maybe, just maybe, that would send the message. But knowing Karen, rules and warnings were like appetizers. They only made her hungrier for trouble. It was on a Thursday, one of those days when the air feels heavy with suspicion. I had gone into town for some supplies, planning to take my time, but I returned earlier than usual. The moment I reached my gate, I knew something was wrong. The latch wasn't how I left it, and the dirt told the story. Fresh footprints leading straight to my cabin. My gut clenched. Someone had forced their way in. I dropped the feed bags and moved quietly, my boots sinking into the sand as I crept closer. From the window, I expected to catch a thief stuffing tools into a sack, but what I saw made me grip the wall in disbelief. It was Karen, inside my cabin, clipboard in one hand, camera in the other, snooping like she was on some kind of federal investigation. She opened cupboards, scribbled notes, and snapped photos of everything, even my coffee pot, like it was contraband. That was it. She had crossed every line imaginable. Without hesitation, I crept to the door, yanked it shut from the outside, and slid the lock home with a satisfying click. The thud echoed inside, and Karen spun, eyes wide, realizing she was caged. "Open this door right now! You can't do this!" she shrieked, slamming her fists against the wood. I leaned back on the porch rail, arms folded, smirking at the sound of her fury. She rattled the knob, kicked the baseboards, even screamed threats about lawsuits. Nothing worked. That cabin had stood strong against storms. Her tantrum wasn't going to bring it down. Now here's where my pettiness took over. I didn't call the police immediately. Oh no, I let her marinate in her own arrogance. 2 full hours I left her in there, pacing and sweating, yelling until her voice cracked. I wanted her to taste helplessness, to feel what it was like to be at someone else's mercy. Every minute was payback for the lies, the harassment, and the fake accusations she'd thrown my way. Only after her rage died down to hoarse whispers did I pull out my phone, take a deep breath, and calmly dial the police to report a trespasser caught red-handed. When the police finally arrived, red and blue lights flashing against the wooden walls of my cabin, Karen was still pounding weakly at the door like a caged raccoon. The moment they unlocked it, she stormed out, pointing at me with wild eyes and a trembling hand. "He locked me in there. He held me against my will," she screeched, her hair sticking to her sweaty face, mascara streaked like war paint. I stayed calm, almost amused, because I knew the evidence was stacked in my favor. "Officer," I said, "I found this woman trespassing inside my private cabin. She broke in, and I locked the door so she wouldn't escape before you got here." That sounded a whole lot better than petty revenge, and besides, the truth was staring them right in the face. The police didn't take her word over mine. They didn't have to. They found her clipboard stuffed with notes, her camera full of photos of my living room, even pictures of my cabinets. When asked why she was in my farm to begin with, she stammered, changed her story twice, and finally muttered something about community safety. The officers exchanged looks, the kind that said, "We've heard enough." Karen tried spinning the narrative right there on the porch, accusing me of hiding suspicious activity in my cabin. But the officers weren't buying it. "Ma'am, you're trespassing on private property," one said flatly. She puffed up, ready to argue, but the clipboard in the officer's hand shut her down. Fast forward to court, where she strutted in like she still ran the show. She tried playing the victim, claiming I imprisoned her, but the judge wasn't swayed. I explained clearly. I secured her inside so she couldn't flee before law enforcement arrived. My words were calm, hers were frantic. Guess who looked more believable? The jury didn't need convincing. Karen was found guilty of criminal trespassing. The sentence? A $3,000 fine and a month of community service. The money didn't matter, though. It was the humiliation that broke her. Word spread fast. The HOA president, caught sneaking, fined like a petty criminal, reduced to picking up trash in a neon vest around town. The same woman who demanded authority was now the punchline of the neighborhood. The end.